is a crime against humanity. It is the illegal trade of human beings. It is modern-day slavery, except today there are 2.5 million trafficked people around the world at any given time. In Thailand and Cambodia, children are especially vulnerable. They are being forced into hard labor without pay, to beg on the street, and into prostitution or other sexual exploitation. The children come from villages and poor cities like this, Poi Phet, a Cambodian city right on the border of Thailand. From here, it is easy to smuggle children across the border. They can be hidden in carts. Corrupt border guards may let them pass. And in the dry season, you can even cross the narrow river that separates the two countries. The traffickers kidnap the children directly from their villages, or they trick their parents into believing that they are offering their children a job and a better future in the wealthier Thailand. Sometimes the desperate parents will even sell their own children. After crossing the border to Thailand, the children are taken either to farms or factories to work, or to cities like Bangkok and Pattaya to beg or to be sold for sex. Here on Walking Street in Pattaya you find them. On the streets and in the bars and in brothels. Some children find help in time. Some are found but lost again. Thousands are still out there for sale.
Okay, so this video we filmed it about a year. The situation in Thailand right now is getting worse and worse every year. There's more and more kids that are being sold, partially because the law is changing and they are going to allow Asian countries to pass through. People can go into other Asian countries without a visa, without a stamp, which means that you can take then children and just go into Thailand. Right now, at least you have to go through immigration. However, there are so many illegal borders that it's just really easy to get kids from Cambodia or from Vietnam or from Laos. So Thailand is a source, a destination, and a transit country for trafficking. What that means is that from here, children go into Malaysia or Singapore or other rich Asian countries. Also, it's a transit. So the kids from Laos, Vietnam, China, and Burma go through here to go to the other side, to the richer countries, or also stay here. And it's a destination because Thailand, especially where you guys are right now in Pattaya, is one of the main centers for child trafficking and trafficking in general. So Pattaya is a sex tourist place, as you know. What that means is, slowly in the beginning there are a lot of guys looking for pleasure coming here, and then the sex tourism increased, and then the perversion increased. So all of a sudden you had brothels that cater to people looking for sex with women who are disabled, people looking for sex with women who have to torture them, so any kind of physical damage to a woman, not just the sex part. And that opened up a lot of brothels for children as well. So Pattaya is one of the main places for pedophiles after the Philippines. You have kids, so child trafficking, which is what I know about, that's what I'm going to talk about. Children come from poor countries. So in Cambodia, you can buy a child for $200 and bring them here and use them for whatever you want. There are several types of businesses that buy children from poor countries. One of those businesses, for example, are fishing boats. So on fishing boats in the sea, they need children to fish. So what they do is go to Burma, get your child, a truckload of kids, and send them on the fishing boats. What happens on the fishing boats is that the kids are drugged with speed to work overnight, so they can fish more and more and more, which causes complete damage to their brain. There was a little boy that was sent from Cambodia actually to work on a farm, and on a mushroom farm, and his brain was so, by the time he went back home in a year, he couldn't recognize his mom, he didn't know who she is at all. And his mom actually did not sell him, he was sold by a neighbor because the mom went to work. So another business, again, the mushroom farms, a lot of Cambodian kids go there, same story, a lot of speed, a lot of drugs. They just want to keep them working. Now, a lot of people want to know how come, Thai people don't care about the kids. Thai people do care, very much so. However, it's been years and years of war with Cambodia, years and years of problems with the neighborhood countries. So Thai people, there's usually a stigma with Cambodians, with Burmese, and therefore it becomes easy when you don't have enough to exploit the children that are not yours. Now, I work with Thai people that absolutely adore these kids, but it's just circumstantially in Thailand there's not enough money for Thais. And when the jobs are so basic and so physically challenging, they use what they don't know, which is, Burmese and Cambodian kids. Now, in Cambodia, as we said in the video, the kids come from villages. A lot of the parents sell them. Why do they sell them? Because there's no fathers. Okay, it's as simple as that. The families do not have fathers. The fathers are gone to Thailand to work or other countries, and you have parents with 6 children, like a mom in the village with 6 kids. There's no medical care. So if the mom is sick or a child is sick, they simply sacrifice one of the kids. And, I would like to say that I wouldn't do that, but we don't know. Unless you're in a situation where you don't have enough food for the 5 kids you have. You don't know. You want to say, I will never do that, but we don't really know if we will do that or not. I've heard of cases where the mom is sick, so she needs $200 for medication. A man comes to the village and says, I'll take your child, to Bangkok or to Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia. I'll find them a really nice work in a house where they can just clean a little bit, cook a little bit, and they'll send some money home. So it's a win-win. So the mom in the village, who has no schooling or medical care for her kids, says, okay, well, that sounds great, take my child, and off they go. That happens a lot. Some parents do, however, knowingly sell their kids for that, and money is a factor. When poverty is so extreme, money is definitely a factor. So the kids come here, usually 10 or 12 kids will come here at the border. Some kids get rented out, which means that you buy the child for a month or 2 months, and they come to Pattaya and sell stuff. So there's a third type. Sell little gum or sell flowers or beg. Those kids are most often used for sex. So anytime you see a child on the street selling gum or selling flowers at night in a sex tourist area, those children are not Thai, usually. It can happen, don't assume that everybody is trafficked, but usually these kids are not Thai. They're Vietnamese or Cambodian. They stay here in a house with a handler, and they're rented for a month or 2, and the handler beats them, and unless they bring a certain amount of money to the house. So if you don't bring, the case that we worked on yesterday, if she didn't bring 500 baht home, she'll get really beat, like she'll get beat every day. If she brings 500 or more, she doesn't get beat. So those kids are loaned, basically rented for a month or 2. There is a fee that the handler pays to the mom back home, or they're bought for a lifetime. So when the kids come here, some of them get resold. So you have hundreds of children in Pattaya right now that are trafficked. Hundreds. We're not talking a small amount of kids. So the kids that are bought for begging or for selling stuff, now they're doing this in a pedophile area. So what happens is that a guy will pass by. We had a case 3 months ago. They were begging on the street. A guy will pass by and say, well, how much for an hour? And the handler or the parent will come and say, well, 1,000 baht, you have 1 hour with the child. Take it. So it's that easy. It is that easy. Every kind of trafficking for children in Thailand that I've seen involves sexual or physical abuse. There is no trafficking in here of children that are not Thai that doesn't involve abuse, simply because these kids are out for 12 hours a day. The kids that beg, I've seen a baby, 2-year-old baby who couldn't walk because they'll drug it to stay on this small square for 10 hours a day and beg. They'll put sleeping pills in they don't even give it milk, they give it water with sugar. So they'll put sleeping pills. The baby's legs were deformed because the baby was kept on the same spot. Again, so many of us think, okay, trafficking is just brothels. This is not okay. I mean, none of this is okay. You know, so the abuse that the kids suffer in the farms, in the begging rings, in the selling stuff. So when they're out, the kids that sell stuff, sell gum, sell little things. When they're out, they'll go to the bar. They train them to kiss a foreigner or to massage. The kids we had, she had to massage foreigners. You know, she's what, 20 kilos. She can't massage anything. She's underfed, she's bruised, she's battered, and she's made for 12 hours a day. She was out. She was out until 7 in the morning, selling stuff. And the gum is 20 baht for one package of gum. She had to make 500 baht to get home. And she was alone. So what happens to her is that she sells stuff. The handler is somewhere else. If a foreigner wants her for an hour, they just, tell her or call the handler, and she goes and she's trained to, pleasure a foreigner, basically. So, yeah, let me just give you an overview on the brothels and then I'll tell you about the kids. A lot of the kids are purposefully sent to here or Bangkok into brothels. In Pattaya there are a lot of children's brothels. There are. It's just as simple as it is. Even the regular brothels, especially in the gay area, they do have children in the back. There's a lot of teenagers, but there's also kids 7, 8 years old in the back stories. So what happens to them is the little kids are kept in locked brothels, which means they have no ability to go out of there. Foreigners will come. Usually you go into somebody selling videos or whatever, or motorcycle guy, and for a fee they take you to the brothel. That way they have control over you, so you're not, the brothel is not on Main Street, obviously. They take you and they take you back. You pay and you can do whatever you want. A lot of the brothels with children, they also, for a fee, you can do pictures. So within that hour, if you want to set up equipment and shoot a porn, you can. It's a higher fee. That's why a lot of people actually who want to shoot children's porn, they'll get the Cambodian kids and do it because it's easier. If you get a child begging or a child selling stuff, it's just easier within that hour and it's a lot cheaper because you pay 1,000 baht and you shoot whatever you want to shoot and you can resell that on the internet for a lot of money. So we had, like a year ago I think it was, 11 children in a brothel, all Cambodian, all disabled.
Oh my.
And I don't know actually if that was purposefully like that. I think they just probably rounded up the kids that they found in Cambodia and just sent them in a brothel. All of the kids were disabled and I think they all previously begged on the streets. So those were kids from the begging ring. Very often you are going to have children who used to beg or used to work on a farm and then there was no more need for them. They get through the border, they get resold and they end up in a brothel. So you don't just have that part of the rape or the abuse, you have several depending on the age of the child. We have one child in Cambodia, his brain is just completely, he was abused in every way you can think of and many of the kids, depending on the level of abuse, will not be able to have a normal life. they just want. And most of the kids that I've met that are 7 or 8, they can't read right, or they can't relate on a level as a normal 8-year-old. So yeah, children's brothels. Another thing that people do in Thailand, because there's a lot of Cambodian kids. Now, Cambodian kids have no papers here. They cannot be tracked. Nobody's looking for them. You can take a child. You can literally purchase the child for life. We had an offer, 80,000 baht. Yesterday I found from the policeman that to a Thai person, he tried to sell the same girl for 40,000 baht. So that's for life. For life. You have her, you do whatever you want. You can do anything you want, Cambodian girl. So because in Thailand and in Cambodia it is very easy to take children and do porn. A lot of people who are not pedophiles, they're just people looking for ways to make money, they will come and they'll shoot porn. Now, the porn can include only children, so they can have several children doing sex acts together. The children are drugged, and I've said that before, but I think I need to say it again. A lot of these kids are given hormones because little boys cannot perform unless because at the age of 5 you do not have the ability to do anything, so they put kind of hormones. I've heard of a case where the child died because they just didn't know how much hormones to put in him. Another thing that they do, of course, you have adults and porn. Another thing people do is that, for example, if I'm a pedophile and I have preference for boys, I come here, I take nude pictures with girls, and that's my leverage to get on pedophile sites online. So in every pedophile site, you can't just gain access. You need to have a certain amount of internet porn, of child porn, in order to access that website. More material you have, higher up you get. And you get to a stage where you can do real time. There was one case in Canada. There was a father who was shooting rape real time, and the policeman had to stay through it so he can find out where this guy was, because he covered the IP address, so they couldn't track where the guy is. So the police officer in that case had to watch it and stay online because they had to gain access. But a lot of these police officers, they don't actually have, they take 3 months on and then 3 months they work on different cases because they can't take it. Yeah. So a lot of people come here, they'll utilize taking pictures with the kids, and they'll use that to gain pictures of children that they prefer. Some guys prefer boys, some prefer girls. Rarely, but there are pedophiles who like both. So Pattaya, unfortunately, is especially before they were kids outside. I think the police cleaned it up a lot, but if you go after 2 o'clock in the morning when the police goes home, there are children out for sale. If the children are 10 to 14, they walk in groups with a parent, and you see them walking back and forth, and if you're a guy, you can just, walk up to them and just smile. You don't have to say anything about price or cost. They will offer you the child. There are pictures of their children on beach road. I saw one parent, actually, who was the parent, I think, and there was a little girl, she was 2. And you can take any kind of pictures you want, because part of the beach road, part of the beach actually is lit up. So it's really good for pictures. So a lot of times you see at night after 1 or 2 families or pretend families where you can take a picture with a child naked and sell that. So who are the pedophiles? People want to know who are the pedophiles. A lot of them are foreigners. Most of them are foreigners. Okay, there's Westerners who are here for little kids or little boys. They prefer that. Korean, Japanese, and some Chinese, but mainly Korean and Japanese. They come here for girls, for virgin girls. They call it the virgin trade. So the virgin trade is driven largely by Asian men One, because they think that HIV is cured by sleeping with a virgin. There's still this huge story that never seems to die, and there's a lot of sex tourists that will bid, so they'll bid on the virgin girl, and sometimes that was before. I haven't heard of a case like that lately, but there was a girl they sold her 5 times so she can sleep with a foreigner and they can pay the same price for a virgin girl. So so the Westerners who come here, people ask me, is there a law against it? Yes, there is a law against it. In Thailand, you have to have evidence. You cannot just see a foreigner with a child and get the foreigner or the child. You have to actually walk in or take a picture or have concrete evidence that this man is in fact doing that. Yesterday I saw actually a footage in the police station of a man who, third time, he was caught with a boy in the forest. Third time, a foreigner. And I always, I hear about that often. And it's interesting because in order for somebody to be caught 3 times, he had to be released twice. Right. So it's just here for drugs, the offense and the jail time is very high. For crimes like these, it's a bit easier to buy off. So the police are doing their job. The government is trying to. But the fact of the matter is that there's hundreds of children and there's 4 police officers dedicated to trafficking. 4. Wow. And they don't have a day off. Wow. So, and they have to have evidence. Now I'm gonna have a word of caution to you all because I know you guys, really everybody's eager to help, but you cannot, we do not buy children, ever. We do not buy children. Why? 1, we create demand. Yeah. So when you buy a child, you put money in the pocket of the person buying the children. So when you buy a child, they will say, this has increased, get us more kids. Never, ever, ever buy a child. Yeah. The second reason you do not buy a child is because you will get charged. You will get charged. This is a crime. Children are just, I'm not going to compare them, but children are the child trade or the human trafficking trade. This is the same trade as drugs or guns. You do not buy guns because you get charged. You do not buy drugs because you get charged. You do not buy children. Other reasons, of course, are if you get caught with a child that has been trafficked, even if your intention was to keep the child safe, you will be caught and you'll be prosecuted and you end up in jail. There have been people who have done that, and as a matter of fact, there was a Christian man 5 years ago who went to one of the hotels, found the man walking with a child into the hotel room, grabbed the child, ran, and then the police came, and then they started chasing him. This is a very well-known story in Pattaya, and he was trying to jump the balcony, and he fell. So the man was not a pedophile, he was a Christian man. But he was told previously 3 times, you never do that. You never do that unless you have a police officer with you. And so he died. So Fred and Diane from Mercy, that's the story they tell, and he was working closely with them actually. But this is why you don't do it. You will get charged. Also, a lot of people want to know how can you help. Unless you know for a fact, just like with anything else, we have to have experience with what we do. Otherwise, we cannot, just like with your job back at home, if you've been there for a month, you probably are not going to do as well if you've been there for 4 years. And the authority you walk in or the knowledge that you have is not the same. So you find people that have been doing that for a long time. If you have any concerns, you have to contact a policeman or a social worker. That's just what you do, because those are the people that rescue the children. We do not rescue them. We do it with them. We do it with the people, and all of us has a little part, right? XP, we ran a shelter, so we've been here for 4 years, working only specifically on trafficked children and children with sexual abuse. Personally, I have been involved in at least 4 raids with kids and 1 raid with women, and we have had at least 7 cases of sexual and physical abuse children in our shelter. So when you see that and when you want to help, you have to contact me, or I'll give you a phone number of a social worker or a police officer. But the police is number 1. The other thing is, we do not walk into a country and think that we can solve their problems. You know, there's people that have been doing that for 20 years, and just use wisdom. Use wisdom in everything you do, and there are stories. The kids are in pain and they do need help. So you can be in the right place at the right time. You just have to tell the right people. Don't ever do that alone. There's a lot of talk about trafficking in the West, and I think sometimes there's confusion about what trafficking is, and so maybe I should clear that confusion. A trafficked child or a person has to be held against their will. For an adult, that means that they'll have no passport with them. So the way you tell how a woman is, trafficked, she's kept the passport is in the handler. She does not have documents, and she is not there for her own will, because there are women who come, travel, and work in Thailand as prostitutes, and it's a choice. It's not right, but it's a choice. With the children, there is no choice. Even if it's the father or the mother, if that child was forced to work, it can be anything: selling gum again, begging, working in a brothel. If that child is forced to do it by a parent or by a handler, that is trafficking, especially if the child is from out of the country. So I'll give you some background on what happened yesterday. For 4 years, I've been working on these streets. So we do outreach twice a week, and my job is to see and find out who and what are the children are doing, who